Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Council. It's your girl, Cosette.
Lexi. And Rachel.
And today we're talking about in-laws and outlaws, going from being a plus one to part of the family. This is about significant others and getting involved in their families. It's a very sticky situation that can be very complicated. Can either work out really well or go very nasty.
Families in general, your own and other people's, just there's a lot to deal with.
There's a lot to unpack here.
It's really important how you integrate with a family. It makes a whole heck of a difference.
It can fully make or break.
I think we've all experienced both hands of it. Like, I've experienced where the family did not like them, and I've experienced where they loved them, and the breakup was made that much harder. So, like, it's tough, and you want to be part of the good graces on everyone's family.
Be included. You want to feel loved and welcomed.
But how do you do that, and how do you also get out of a situation if they don't like you? Is there a way to...
That first impression is really important.
First impression rose.
The first impression rose. So let's talk a little bit first about the role that the other person's family plays in the relationship. A lot of times this person they might be going to their family for a lot of advice. They might be really valuing their family's opinion. And so what their family thinks of you could totally change how they feel about you. Right?
Yeah, I think there's a fine line, and everyone's different for how their family is involved. I think if my partner was only valuing their family's opinion, I get it. It takes time to really get to know the person you're with and trusting them. But if they're like, what shirt should I wear today? Or like, we're going to a wedding, what should I bring? Or like, little things that you can ask your partner about and be like, oh, I think this looks best on you. And they're like, I don't know. Mom, what do you think? Or Dad, what do you think? I would feel like this is too much involvement.
Yeah,
like,
It kind of seems like that interaction is like dismissing whatever you're saying.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, like they shouldn't be here for everything. Come on, like we can work it out ourselves. Or, when is it okay to say like, hey, my partner and I had a big fight, when to involve them there? Because sometimes people involve their family in everything. Like, oh my God, they did this, they involved this. And then the family, of course, is going to be like, oh, I don't know if they're right, or, oh, I don't know. And then so when you walk into a room, you kind of know, wow, they know everything. And that's not a good feeling either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a tricky line, but you want to make sure they have good relationship with them and that you do as well. I mean, I always think that's a good sign when they have a great relationship and they do talk to their parents or family and rely on their opinions for matters. Like, I think that is important.
100%. I feel like when I have a partner, like, as much as I'm getting to know them, I 100% want to get to know their family, their mom, their dad, their sister, their brothers. If my partner is going to be my forever partner, I want their family to essentially become my best friends as well.
I want their stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Like,
number one.
I do crave their validation. Like, you're a good one. Like, even if you're the best one.
I know I'm a good one.
Yeah, I know I'm a good one, but do you think I'm the best one? Like, it feels good to hear that from friends and family that, oh, we like you the best. And you're like, thank you.
Exactly. I think the maternal relationship with your partner is also really important. How close they are with their mother is something that is a green flag if they treat their mother well, but I think that's one of the biggest points of contention for relationships is their partner's relationship with their mother. If the mother has a hard time giving up their son in a way where like she feels like she's being replaced by the significant other, which is never the case, but I have definitely seen that dynamic play out where the mother has a hard time giving up the control of her son's life.
Yeah.
I actually was watching, like, there's this TikTok trend right now where mothers are posting, like, if my son's, order of prioritizations are mom, children, wife, then I failed. And I was like, that is so true. Like, if their son thinks their mom is the highest, then their children, then their wife, then they're like,
wow.
And I was like, I love that, moms. Like, I hope we're not raising sons to give to another woman so they can mother them as well. Like, that shouldn't be the goal. And as a mother, I guess I'm not a mother, so I don't know. I know sons and mothers.
You are mother.
You're a dog mom.
You're right.
Especially this outfit, you are mother.
I'm mother. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I think I've seen that play out where they just like no one can take care of their child as better than they can.
Yeah.
And they really make sure you know that, and they cater to them and they deliver, and they're like, oh, you don't know what they like, or oh, their favorite breakfast is this, and it's just so belittling and like,
It's
oh,
not a
well, like,
competition. It's
yeah,
like,
it shouldn't be a competition.
It's
It
like
shouldn't.
I have a friend that said like it was a competition between, you know, she was dating this guy and wants to be friends with the mother, but also like he'd be like, "Oh yeah, me and my mom are having like movie dates and like we're in our pajamas, and then me and my mom are doing this, me and my mom are doing that." And it's like, "Wait, where do I fit in this situation?"
And that's when I'm like, there's a great relationship with your parents, and then there's a,
too much.
hey, like maybe dial back. Maybe they know that you're in a relationship now and that we can do pajama movie dates. Like,
Yeah.
I had someone tell me once in a relationship that their mother will always be their top priority, and even if we were married, I would never be as important as their mother is to them.
Oh my gosh.
And I understand, like, feeling like I 100% think maternal relationships are so important. Your mother should be important to you. But I also think at a certain point when you are with your forever person, they should be your priority.
And have kids?
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
don't think that should. It's not a competition. It's not one over
No.
the other.
It should
You can
fulfill a
have both.
different-
It's not mutually
yeah.
exclusive. Like both can exist at the same time.
Hmm.
So this leads me to a question: have you either ever dated someone whose family was super involved and it created some turmoil for your relationship?
Yes.
You have?
In
Okay, you
in
can
a
speak.
way, in a religious way.
Oh.
That affected, I think how we interacted. It so disclaimer, this man, he was a great person. He was like that skinny love, the first love and everything, and I had a really great time getting to know him and his family. I think he has a wonderful family. But he he involved them. I think the religious pressure in a way was a lot, and how his parents said that certain things were taboo, and he like kept that in his mind so prevalently. And like when I did go to visit him and his family, I didn't think this was the problem. Like we did have separate rooms and everything, but like his mom would, I guess, do our laundry, and then she'd be like, Lexi, like, oh, her underwear is so tiny. It was a thong, which normal to wear. But he's like, she would, I guess, go to him and be like Lexi's wearing this, or like, oh my God. And I think how I felt, and then she would make him a special smoothie in the morning, and
Oof.
she would, and when he was sick, this was so funny. When he was sick, this was the only time I was allowed to stay in his bedroom, because he was so sick that his parents were like, Lexi, we think it's okay that you stay with him. And I stayed up all night taking care of him. Like I would switch out like wet towels in the freezer so I could put on his head.
Such a good person.
And it was like, I don't know, like he definitely was comfortable with that kind of treatment. And his parents and his family are wonderful. But you could see the influence of like, I believe I should be treated this way. And as the first son too, she had 3 sons. And as the first son, she did everything for him. And I think there was a lot of ideas of what kind of woman I should be.
Yeah.
But there was a different relationship also where the guy even said to me, he's like, well, I never got a good feeling from his mom. Like she's the one that, she was my pharmacist, so she is the one that gave me my birth control.
Oh my gosh.
And she also did not think that her son should be doing that stuff.
Oh.
And that was a very awkward conversation.
That is a small town.
That's
thing.
a small
Wild.
town stuff where my dad and I would go to the pharmacy, because my dad's such a wonderful human. And he'd be like, should we pick up your birth control while we're at the grocery store? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it'd be her. And they went to college together. This is how small town
Oh
this
my
is.
gosh.
They went to college together, and he's like, yeah, she never really liked me either. I'm like, maybe you're influencing how we're
Yeah,
dating. Like,
True.
get away. But I don't know. I felt like, he was another person that relied so heavily on his mother's influence that I was seen differently. I felt like I was a vixen or a concubine, and I'm not any of those things.
Oh,
And I felt
no.
that way going into their home. So
Yeah.
not
That
the
definitely
first
must have
ex
put-
I was talking about. I think his parents are lovely, but the second one I was like, oh, I feel like whore from Babylon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel
like you
good.
got a drawn
Yeah.
on your chest.
So
Well, those conflicts
my
put,
experience.
restraints on the relationship.
Yeah, it does. Because, like, then it feels like they're not relying on their own self-judgment. They're not relying on their own growth and what is best for them. They're like, what do my parents think? Or, oh, my parents said this.
Are they gonna be asking
this
their
works best for my parents,
everything?
right?
Yeah.
Like, is it best now? Like, should we move in? Should we do this? Like, no, let's talk about this
Yeah.
internally before
That's
you get.
us decision.
That's an
not
us decision.
We.
Right. So that's how I think how that gets sticky. Where like, they don't rely on one another for a conversation. It's like, what do the parents think? What does the mom think? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But
let's. Did you have a specific situation you wanted to talk about, or should I move on to first impressions?
You
Okay, so
you go.
Yeah, you go ahead. You got this. That first time meeting the parents of your partner can be really scary.
Oh yeah, totally scary.
Yeah, terrifying actually. And I wanted to just take a moment to think about some crazy things that maybe we've done meeting the parents for the first time, or things that we have done to prepare a partner for meeting our parents for the first time.
I feel like
you feel like I want to share a story.
Like
I know
you would be
have a
right.
story.
because we know you got some good
Let's
things
hear
lined
Well,
up.
I just thought of one that there was an ex that I was so terrified to meet his mother, and it's probably not the ex that you're thinking of, but keeping you guys on your toes.
Yeah.
No, which one?
I remember it was Y, and I remember I was so I was trying to
yeah, I didn't
figure
think of
out
that
what
one.
to do to prepare. I really wanted her to like me. I was worried that you always have a feeling people have some type of preconceived notion going into meeting you, especially if they're older and the parents are like, why are you dating someone so much younger than you, So I remember I did
Because
so
she's mature and beautiful and
Yeah,
she's
smart,
everything.
intelligent.
I have no doubt that when I meet a parent, if
They're
they
gonna
give me a chance, that I can win them
They
over.
also have to be open too,
Yeah.
You can't
And
be
a lot of
reserved.
times when if you meet a parent who's like already shut off, that can be really difficult
Which
to then have to
I
prove
think you've
yourself.
experienced in another relationship, in a way,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
like the one after Y.
oh wait.
I feel like his interaction with his mom.
oh
was she-
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, you have better memory than I do.
She has a great memory.
I was
But anyway, I
Yeah.
remember
other story.
I remember I was asking this ex what I can do to prepare to meet his mother.
XY.
XY.
yeah.
And he was like, she really loves Diet Coke. So I stopped at a 7-Eleven on the way and I got her a box of Diet Coke. And then I brought her I think I brought her her favorite food, or I can't remember the other. I brought her some type of food item that I heard that she loved. It was my first time ever meeting her, and I pull up with food, like
She's
a
like
meal.
a pizza box and Diet Coke.
A
She's like,
meal
"This
and a
is-"
box of Diet Coke. And she was literally, I mean, you could just think of like, kind of like, she kind of gave like Southern, like, Southern Belle, like sweet, warm mother vibes. And she was so sweet. And like, oh my gosh, I think I already would have been fine with her without the Diet Coke. But I just remember making sure I wanted to have the best first impression
Yeah.
possible. And
That's
actually,
such a good tip. That
yeah,
was, like,
research
really smart of
shows
you.
research shows that first impressions form within 7 seconds of meeting someone. So
7 seconds?
I'm always scared of that first
That's
impression.
wild.
I'm scared of what the friends or what the family knows about me going into meeting them for the first time. But I think it's really great if the guy, this is just like antiquated stereotypes, but I always think it's nice if the guy brings your mother flowers for meeting her the first time. I think that's always really sweet. They do
Yeah.
that on The Bachelor a lot. But I
But
remember
that's what
They
is
do,
so
yes,
sweet.
they
Like,
do.
I was thinking of that when you were telling that story. Is like we.
Oh, I brought her flowers too.
d-
I do
like
remember
I was
that.
just thinking that
Yeah.
how the
got
guy
the whole
is
store.
always expected to. I'm like,
She brought the whole store. I did. I sold it
Cosette
out.
doing it is just like that's wonderful advice for both parties. Like no
Mhm.
matter who you are, that's really sweet. And you nailed that one. That was
I remember
You hit the home run.
the first time that my sister's boyfriend met my family. My parents were visiting town and they were staying at my place, and my grandmother was also there. And I believe my older sister was also there, and I was there,
Pressure.
and Talia was there. It was the whole family.
Oh.
And he was like about to pull up, and he was in an Uber, and my sister was like, "Did you get flowers?" And he's like, I don't know." And she's like, "Okay, reroute to Trader Joe's." He went to Trader Joe's. He pulled up with
Oh, I
flowers for my
remember this.
mom, flowers for my grandma, flowers for me. I believe
Wow.
if my older sister was there, flowers for her and flowers for Talia. And he just pulled up with. We were laughing so hard.
Just
And it was a very nice gesture. I mean, of course, Talia, like, he got a little bit of a nudge, but
Yeah.
it was, flowers are just something that are so sweet and underrated.
It's welcoming.
I think a lot of people don't realize the impact of them, that when you get a girl flowers, every time she passes that vase, she's going to smell them. She's going to have a little giddy feeling, like, and it
It's just,
remind
like, it's such
how
a sweet
loved she
thought.
is.
It's a sweet, like, you went out of your way in a sense to get me this and remind me, like, that I'm special, or that, like, this is important to you. Like,
But that's just an
and
easy way, I
it's
think,
so
to start
easy.
off the impression on a good foot.
Yeah.
Plug in Trader Joe's. They have a great selection and reasonably
Oh,
priced. So
yeah, they have
not
a great selection of
cheap,
flowers.
yeah.
come on,
Whew.
easy.
Can't go wrong.
But 7 seconds. That's like
That's
that.
wild.
That makes me think about the first interaction I had with Mr. Wright's dad. I didn't know I was meeting him. It was right after a soccer game, our second time meeting each other. And
You and Mr. Wright second time?
Wow.
And he invited me to a soccer game. It was right after his game. He was about to leave for Peru in a couple days.
Mhm.
So
right.
I was like, I don't know if I heard it correctly. I probably didn't. But he walks his dog over to this man, and they're talking, and I'm just standing there mute. I don't even think I said hi. I was just like, he's just giving them to his colleague, or like his soccer player friend, and that's it. And I don't even think it was after I met his mom at the restaurant that I was like, oh, I wonder when I get to meet your dad. And he's like, you met him. Who did you think I
What?
gave my dog to? And I was like, that was your dad?
Why didn't you warn me?
I was like, why? I probably like, my interaction was cold and like, I'm not gonna talk. I was like,
no.
I didn't know.
You
It was
need
the
to warn
second time I
me.
met him, so I was like, I'm just gonna let him do his thing.
Mhm.
I was like, great. But his parents are fabulous. There is no that
They're great cooks.
they're great
Yeah,
cooks.
yeah.
They're very funny. They're so similar to my parents. So luckily, at least the impression was good, or it didn't matter, because I was like, I was worried about that. I was like, oh, I probably seemed so off-putting and standoffish, and like I didn't have time because I was just standing there like, let him talk, and so
That's crazy.
yeah.
Well, I will say I haven't had this situation happen with a partner, but with someone that I met, and it was a girl I met, and I met her, and first impressions, I did not get good first impressions. But you have to consider like the situation, who you're around, and nervousness. Some people are nervous. So I think it's very
Yeah.
important to like, you may have a feeling under, during the first impression, but if you're feeling any sort of way, give it a second shot. Give it a second shot, because
That's such a
if someone's
yeah.
meeting your family, you
There's a
think
lot
the
of-
girl's gonna be so nervous. The girl's gonna be nervous and anxious.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like the
Everyone is.
icebreaker. You
Yeah,
know?
my boyfriend's a super shy individual, and so I'm glad, like, when the first time he met my family, he had some days to kind of get
Open
into
up.
it, and it
Mhm.
really didn't even happen until probably this last time he went home for my brother's wedding, that he really was able to kind of show off his full personality and be
yeah.
like as funny as he is, or like as like charismatic. Like,
Mhm.
he was really able to show his full self, because it took time to, like, every time you see them to
And it does.
open up.
It
And
does.
I'm happy like he had that opportunity to get to do that, because first time
Mhm.
there's a lot of expectations. You're trying to be on your it's like a first date. It's a
Yeah.
first date except with the family. So there's even more like,
And
my
their
God,
opinions are important.
and that feels sometimes more important, and you're like, oh my God, like I
It
want
is
them to
like a
like me. I
first
want to be
date.
intelligent. I want to be sophisticated. I want to be this. I want to be that. And yeah,
I want to
so
be cute. I want to be fun. I want to be bubbly.
I'm curious to know, like, if first impressions don't go well.
That's exactly what you
Oh.
just took that out of my
Okay,
mouth.
I was reading Cosette. I was
Finish
like,
the question.
she's about to
Yes.
transition. What? That's what I thought.
You
I
know
was
me
like,
so well.
I was like,
I'm like ready
she's
for the
queuing
next.
I want to know, like, if either of you have experienced that, and what can be done to like get that first impression to kind of be reverted or
Mhm.
changed or shifted, like to get in the
Yeah.
good graces if you feel like the first one, or like your interactions are off-putting on either side. Like, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I thought that went well, but I'm not getting great feedback.
I feel like I don't have an answer to this, because
Mm.
luckily I feel like all my first impressions, meeting their family or them meeting my family, has gone
Well, lucky
decent.
you. Lucky you.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking to you guys
Any
to speak on this
friends?
one.
I mean, yeah, I think that the three of us had thankfully had experiences where we haven't had a crazy amount of turmoil with our partner's parents. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people who might be watching this have had those situations. So I'm trying to think of the best way. There are some people that no matter how hard you try to prove yourself, they're just not going to be okay with there being another party in their child's life.
Yeah.
Or
And
in a
I
sibling's life. Like, I
yeah.
think of some friends who
Yeah,
were
we're talking
so,
about parents, but
yeah,
siblings is a
but
huge
like,
thing as well.
and I know this is a topic that everyone feels differently about, but I had friends that are like, no one can date my brother. And I get it. Like, when you're friends with someone, then you're like, okay, I don't want to cross that line anyways. But also at the same time, he's your brother. What
Yeah.
are you like? I, I've always said this line, like, what are you gonna do? Like, why are you being so protective of someone that you have a familial relationship with, and he has a chance to explore a different type of relationship with? And like, I think
It's
that
giving incest.
well, it's giving. It extends outside of just like friendships or friend groups, where I get where you're like, please don't date my brother, like we're friends. But like when it extends out there and like a sibling is introducing you, what's the line of like, okay, we can evaluate and we can be like, hey, this was our reading on them, versus okay, I trust you enough to get to know this person and I will be the best that I can for like your relationship. Like,
My cousin and I just had this conversation the other day because she was saying that my other cousin, he has had this girlfriend for, oh gosh, it's been like probably like at least 5 years now, and we love his girlfriend. So we are obsessed with her. We are like I mean, I think that they're gonna end up together, and we always tell her. I always tell her, I can't wait
aw.
till you're part of the family for real. You're already part of the family, but
Oh,
we
I love
love her.
that.
She's the sweetest. And so my cousin and I were talking about how she was saying this is her brother's girlfriend that we're talking about, and she was like, I love her too. I think she's so sweet. But even so, I can't help but judge every girl that my brother has ever dated. And he's like, it's been her, like, I've gotten to know her for so many years now, but I still feel like subconsciously, I'm always like, oh, well, I'm judging a girl that's around my brother because I want the best for him. And she's like, I don't mean to do it that way, but it must be very nerve-wracking to walk into a house where everyone is on the team of that person and you're being let in from the outside. And I know a lot of people experience this with siblings, where the siblings are very protective and defensive over their partner and maybe give the new or over their sibling and maybe give the new partner a really hard time at trying to get into that.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that you can do, and my best piece of advice, is just to, it's so cliche, but just unapologetic, can't speak English, unapologetically be yourself. And if they don't accept you, hopefully if you end up in their life, in their sibling's life, or in their son or daughter's life, they will learn to accept you.
Yeah.
But there's nothing you can do. Like, I think it's a waste of time to keep trying to please someone who doesn't want to be pleased.
that's such a, I mean, it's an excellent point, and you're kind of reminding everyone that you're in a relationship with the sibling, not with the person that you're like, you don't have any obligation to impress them, and to remember that it's the importance of your like whoever you're dating, that dynamic,
Yeah.
not the dynamic of like the siblings. And you should be your best self and be kind and everything, but you should, like you said, like if you're yourself and you are being nice and compassionate, like there's no reason they shouldn't. And if they don't, then you don't need to go out of your way to try to build a relationship that's not working on your
Yeah.
end.
Ideally, you can. I think for me, I would love if I could be really good friends with my partner's siblings
Yeah.
and
Yes,
hang out with them one on one.
100%.
Like, those relationships are important to
Well,
me.
that was another thought. I was like, well, do you suggest if you feel like there's lukewarm or tension or something, reaching out and setting up individual kind of dates or hangouts? Like, do you feel like that would be a possible solution, or do you think that might just be they'll say no, I'm okay, and then you're like, great, now
I think if your intention is to get closer with them and build a stronger relationship, that could be a really great step.
Yeah.
If your intention is to build some type of confrontation and be like, well,
Well, that,
hey,
yeah,
you obviously have a problem with me, I want to work it
that
out.
would be not a good
That,
approach, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is where it gets kind of risky.
Yeah.
I was
I
gonna
see that.
I was gonna say, like, for me personally, you guys know I'm an identical twin, and
Yeah.
I
Yes.
told my partner, I said, literally, you're best friends with me, but you're also best friends with my twin. I've had like that's the goal. I want you to call her up and be like, "Hey, you want to grab a coffee?" Yeah, supernatural. I've had partners. We both had partners that my partner hates her and her partner hates me. And we've had this too many times, and it's like it pulls us apart, and
Yeah.
it's like I said, moving forward, like that cannot happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like you need to be welcoming of my family, and it's not like it's important to
It
have a
is
friendship
important.
with my twin, my family in general, but my identical twin, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel so so great about that's one of the things I love about my current partner is that he and my brothers are so great with each other and
Oh,
that and
yay.
it's so comforting to see because, you know, my brother did not get good vibes from my last boyfriend and he
No one
wouldn't
did.
even stay at our house or the place that we stayed because he felt so uncomfortable and so unwelcomed and that really hurt and then seeing how he interacts with my current boyfriend and just like that like
Oh, it's probably a night and day difference.
it's so great. So when you do see that sibling love that they can be part of the family in that way, that they could hang out, that they can do their own thing,
Mhm.
it is such a relief. And it's something I think everyone wants. Like it's not you're not like, "Oh, they have a sibling, I have no care."
Mhm.
Because you should want. I mean,
Yeah.
they grew up with your sibling
Yeah.
or potentially they grew up with your partner. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always great to see like how do you see him and
Yeah.
what are the stories you can share and
Yeah.
I just think it's a great opportunity and hopefully that
Mhm.
sibling wants to share that with you because
Yeah.
I mean
I understand, like, you know, they grew up with each other, so there's some territorialness in it, maybe some jealousy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, the sibling's gonna have a husband or wife, and they're gonna have a husband
you hope so,
or
right?
wife.
Yeah.
If that's the goal as a sibling, then help them just get to that. Like,
Yeah.
what do you like about her? What do you what do you
Yeah.
see? Oh, I see that. Like,
Uh-huh.
I really like that, and see what where their mind is before you're like, oh, well, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I would just say like, if you're a sibling at least, and your your brother or sister they're dating someone, I would say like just get inside your their head and say like what do you see in this partner that you're really gravitating towards and okay here's my viewpoints. I don't know, they do that in The Bachelor, right? Like ask questions, almost do it like that.
I have two
Yes.
little anecdotes that I needed to mention. I had to write it down so I didn't forget.
Let's hear.
First thing is these are both things that I saw on the internet, and they really
The internet. I like.
Well, I couldn't remember if it was TikTok or Instagram
I
or
know
whatever.
somewhere on the internet.
Yeah, me saying the internet is so
On
like
the web.
relatable to
Maybe
this shirt
Snapchat.
that's giving very
I
like
know.
2000s. First thing is
Snapchat. Sponsor us.
the sibling's
Love
goal is to grow up with you. The partner's goal is to grow old with you. And so I just think like that whole like marriage pass off, like giving your child away.
That's so sweet.
As the sibling, you have to understand that you took them through the first half of your life, and now this person's job is to take it through the rest of your lives together.
I love that.
So I love
That's
that.
Like, yeah.
If you love that one, then just wait for
I love
this
that.
one.
Now I'm like,
Wow.
I love being a sibling. I'm gonna reach out to my siblings and be like,
Wow.
you have great partners. I love it. I miss you.
Exactly.
I hope they grow old with you.
The second was this person, couldn't remember if it was a guy or a girl, was interviewing, like asking questions to their mother on TikTok and asking what made you realize that dad was the one? What made you realize that dad was the one that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with? And she said, when you're choosing your partner, you want to look at that partner and say, undoubtedly, will this person get me through the death of my parents? Because there's going to come a day where our parents pass away, and we want to make sure that our main support system will be there to support us in that time. And she said she looked at her partner and said, I know that when the day comes where my mother passes away, this person is going to get me through that. And when the day came, they got me through it. And that was the most important fulfillment that she had for her partner, because the family's role is so important, but in a way you are expanding and creating this new family with your partner.
Yep.
And yeah, like you just want to make sure that they can get you through those hard times.
That's a good
It makes me
benchmark.
emotional.
I know. This is just
So those are just some
Bring me my
parting words,
feels.
but
I know.
just to leave with the audience, I want to give the audience a little bit of a challenge this episode. And that is to think about the experiences that you've had with your past partners' families and with your current partners' families. And think about what worked, what didn't work. And as you're navigating either a complicated relationship with your partner's families or going into something new with someone new, what's one step that you can take to strengthen the connection that you have with the family? Because it really is an important one. It's not always easy, and sometimes the situation is complicated and messy, but what is one thing that you can do to stay true to yourself that will help strengthen that bond?
I think number one is just initiative and effort.
Yeah.
Wanting to be
Connection,
their friend.
trust, and just like
being your authentic. I mean, like you said, being your authentic self, and that will translate.
Hopefully,
and
they'll love you for you.
Yeah,
You know, you don't have to put up a front.
Yeah, because also if you plan to be in this person's life, you don't want to hide yourself and have to be a version of yourself every time you're with the family.
Yeah,
it should
exactly.
Feel eventually like it's your family in a sense. Like you're adopting a family, and it should feel that way.
Yeah. So those are just some parting words and thoughts to take into this coming week. And
emotional episode.
Thanks so much, Fez, for listening and watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. If you're watching on Spotify, also add it.
5 stars.
Yeah, follow us, leave us 5 stars. Follow us all on Instagram at Cosette.
At the Girl IQ.
At Alexandra Lee. Just find me through them.
Yeah, at the Council of the Podcast.
Yes.
/ the Council Podcast. You can find us on all social media. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Signing off, it's Cosette,
Lexi, and Rachel.
Bye.